Thanks for joining us here. You're a charter broker in the New York office, is that right?
I am, yeah, charter broker in New York.
Tell us a little bit about that. What's a charter broker in New York do?
Well, it's funny because you tell people that you're a super yacht charter broker in New York, and everyone asks if we have boats in New York, and they think that we're, working on the ferries, which is absolutely not what's happening. But it's an amazing job, and it's fun to be in New York because we're kind of the only people in the industry in New York, and so we kind of feel like it's really our field to run the show a little bit. And being a charter broker's the fun part. Like, it's there's a lot of nitty-gritty and it's, hard work, but at the end of the day, you're planning an amazing vacation for someone, and it's probably gonna be the best part of their year. So, it's very fun, and you get to do the actual, dream building for people. So, it's a very rewarding position to be in.
Sounds great. On that then, so what are the best things about being a charter broker, would you say?
The best part about being a charter broker, we always say when someone doesn't want to leave the boat and when they're crying having to get off the boat, that's like the best. That's what we want to see, honestly. And it's hard because people, have this idea of super yachting and it feels kind of out of touch and it just feels abstract to a lot of people. But for charter brokers at the end of the day, you're planning these amazing vacations usually for a family. And it's time for the family to be together in an amazing setting on an amazing boat, but it's really their family together time. So when we put clients on boats like that and then they get off and send us these emails saying, this was the best time we've had as a family and we got to have all 10 of us here and the grandparents were involved and that kind of thing is just so rewarding and it's very fulfilling to hear. So that's probably the best part.
You mentioned about the family and getting in together on a boat, but you're a more recent joiner, if that's the right word, of the Burgess family. What's
Yes.
that been like?
Yeah, so I've been at Burgess for about 3 years now, a little bit over 3 years. The one of the main reasons I joined Burgess in the first place was because when I was talking to people when I was, researching the company, I loved that people had been at the company for 30 years, 30, 40 years even. And I just felt that family immediately. As soon as you talk to anyone at Burgess, there is that kind of sense of family and community, and I just fell in love with that, and I think Burgess does a great job of, hiring a lot of young people, but then immediately ingraining them into the family, and so I feel like I've been at Burgess, much longer than just 3 years. Not only in New York do we have a family, but all over the company because we do travel a lot and you're constantly seeing all of your colleagues. So 3 years is kind of crazy to say because it feels like so much longer than that, and I feel like I've truly built this Burgess family now, which is amazing.
So you mentioned that you travel a lot. I- Is the Caribbean, is that a big part of it, or is it mainly Europe, or how does it work?
Yeah, we do a little bit of Caribbean travel with work. We have a big charter show in December, the Antigua Charter Show, and charter shows are special and they're different than just boat shows because they're really charter yachts showing off. So they have all the brokers come and we're walking around boats, but then they also do lunches and parties and dinners. And it's the most incredible experience because we actually get to see what our clients are going to see. So I last year I was in Antigua in December and I got to watch Top Gun Maverick on the mast of a boat, which is, kind of the most incredible experience and experiences that our clients are having that we then get to have on this side of it. So that's a fun opportunity to get to go to the Caribbean and be on the client side of things.
Yeah. Staying on the Caribbean, to use your term, the if you were to name three amazing, maybe lesser known destinations around the Caribbean, could
Yeah.
be anywhere, could actually be, it could be off Miami, but I was thinking probably more likely to be around the Caribbean. Where would you go for?
Yeah. So people tend to head to St. Bart's, especially because most of our Caribbean charters happen Christmas, New Year's week, and St. Bart's is the place to be for New Year's, and you can have an exceptional time there. There's parties, amazing reservations, everything is very lively, it's very sceney, and it is the place to be. So St. Bart's is an incredible option. If you want to go further afield, the Grenadines are the most amazing set of islands that people don't always venture to. A lot of our clients we kind of need to give a little bit of an education on the Grenadines. They're further south, but it's just an incredible, incredible cruising area with beautiful water, beautiful, lush landscapes, and there's very few people down there. So you can be in anchorages completely alone, and it's amazing. So Moustique is this incredible island, and I think the British maybe know a little bit more than we Americans know about the Grenadines and about Moustique. But there's this bar called Basil's, and it's this tiny, tiny beach shack bar. But Mick Jagger used to go there, and he kind of made it this famous spot. And now they have incredible food, incredible drinks, and they have these huge New Year's Eve parties, but no one really knows about it unless you're there. So we like to give clients a little in there and send them over to the Grenadines, do Basel's for New Year's, and then the rest of their time can be, spent on their own in incredibly blue waters.
Wow.
But that's a fun, fun way to do it.
I'm sold. Yeah. So that sort of cultural shift between, say, the craziness of St. Bart's,
Yeah.
around New Year's, as you're saying, and these quiet hideaways. That's your job, right? To kind of get people into them.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
How do you do that?
Well, a big part of it is knowing what your client wants. We do have a lot of clients that want the best reservation on St. Bart's for New Year's Eve. They want their boat in the berth right in the marina. They want to be in Gustavia, and they want to be part of the scene. But then we have a lot of clients that don't want to see anyone else on New Year's Eve. And it's a lot of figuring out what those clients want and how each client is different, and not just assuming what each client wants and then working their itinerary off of that. So we work really closely with captains and clients on their itinerary to, perfectly curate the setup for them. And it's kind of fun to work on that puzzle and figure out what people are going to want to do, and then work how to actually make that dream a reality for them. And whether that is, finding them a spot where there's going to be no other boats around and they can spend the whole day in the water and, enjoy the boat, or if they want to have that prime reservation, we can get that. And it's figuring that out and then figuring out how to actually do it.
So someone might have told me that you're a little adventurous yourself. I said about tennis and hiking and all sorts of things. How do you go about making charters a little more adventurous and sporty?
Yeah, so I think a big part of that is just educating people on what actually is possible. People think that all we do is Caribbean, Bahamas, Mediterranean, and there's so much more than that. We can go further afield. And so a lot of it is just telling people what's out there. And, I'm a huge skier. I love ski touring. And my personal dream is to go on a boat, go down to Antarctica, do some ski touring. And so I try and pass that on to clients a little bit. And we have a lot of great itineraries that are further afield. And so we'll send clients, fun itineraries and say, just so you know, if you want to do something else, if you want to go a little bit crazy, there's options out there. And so a lot of it is showing people what's possible. And we have a lot of clients that will go do really fun things that we didn't even think about. We have clients go up to the fjords and have these amazing charters, and it's just the most spectacular scenery. But a lot of people just want to sit on a boat and tan, so they wouldn't even think about, doing maybe a cold weather charter. And I think that, pushing people a little bit past their comfort zone is a really fun part of this job, because it is their vacation and they can do anything they want. So if they come to us and ask for ideas, we feel really fortunate that we actually can give them some really fun ways to spend their time and spend their money.
Very good. Are you seeing more of that, would you say? Are people embracing that more?
People are definitely embracing that. I think that people have kind of done the closer to home charters and activities, and people want to go further afield. We're seeing a huge interest in explorer yachts now. And so people are kind of grasping onto this idea that they can take a boat places that they didn't think were possible. And you don't need to be, a crazy explorer to go to Antarctica or to do something further afield. You can take your family, you can get, a team to come help you, and we can plan an incredible itinerary for you. And you don't have to lift a finger, but you can still go do something that feels a little bit crazier.
Right. So you're a New York charter broker. I want you to give me 3 amazing yachts for the Caribbean this season now.
Okay. Muchos Mas, Titania, and Excellence.
Tell me about one of those yachts and why you picked it.
Titania is one of our most successful charter yachts, and for very good reason. They have the most amazing crew. Every single client that goes on board raves about the crew the entire time. And on our side, working with them is a dream. They're just extremely active, extremely on it. So the service is 6 stars, is what we like to say. But also the program is incredible. And we always say it really is the crew that makes the boat. And it could not be more true. You need the crew that's actually going to guide the vacation and really be the backbone for everything. Whether it is the girls being, knowing your coffee order the second day that you're on board and anticipating every single need you have, or one of the deckhands being able to take one of the boys around on a jet ski for 3 hours. So it's really the crew that makes it, and the Titania crew are the best of the best. It's also an incredible boat. They have every water toy you could imagine. They're set up for the perfect Caribbean charter, and they know how to do it, and they do it successfully time and time again. So that's the boat we push.